hey, you should be writing your novel by a window. I write my novel by a window, and it has been a game changer for my world building. But let's back up a little bit. You don't have to write by a window, but I highly recommend it because it does a lot of the heavy lifting of your writing for you. When you sit by a window, you're going to have that peripheral vision outside. And if you have written your book in a world similar to what you see outside, this can take a lot of work out of your world building because you can see what's happening out there and you can write it into your novel in between your dialogue, especially if you are a dialogue-focused writer like I am. So let me paint you a little picture. If you are writing and you are sitting there and your characters are outside having a conversation, and now through your window, you see a bird fly by and you maybe hear them chirp. Maybe you see a tree branch move, or maybe you are seeing cars go by or people walk by and how they're interacting with the world around them, depending on the temperature level. You can write all of that into your book. I've written storms into my book. I've written other weather conditions into my book. I, one time, was sitting down writing and I had a storm come in and it was just rain and there was some wind and the leaves were kind of coming down because the rain was hitting it. And I wrote that into my story. There was no reason for me to be really talking about the weather inside of my story, but when I started to, it lent itself to my world building. They were outside, they were having a conversation, and it started to rain, or maybe they were inside and they were looking through a window and it started to rain. I was able to use the sounds, the things that I heard through my window, the sights that I saw through that window to impact my characters, and that changed the mood of the conversation. It changed how they were having the conversation. If the wind got really loud, they might have to pause the conversation, which would give them time to think and react differently. If they were, walking along and it was really hot, that's going to change how they're engaging with each other because now the sun is really hot. Maybe their sweat is dripping down their neck. Maybe they don't feel super comfortable. Maybe their clothes are kind of sticky. It changes the perception of that scene because it impacts them differently. So if I'm paying attention to what's going on outside and it fits into the book, I have the ability then to change the course of the conversation and the interactions. And I don't have to think about the world building because I can see it. I don't have to think about the way that the rain sounds on the roof. I don't have to think about the way that the rain sounds hitting the window. I don't have to think about the way that the wind moves the rain because I can see all of that and write it into my story. So if it fits with the scene that I'm writing, I can change things up and I can add that world building without having to think, okay, what's going on? Now, the benefit to this as well is that a lot of people just kind of write straight through their book and they don't have a ton of world building in terms of temperature and the sun and the birds and the leaves and the wind and the grass and all of these things, because for most of us, we're focused on the story. So it's kind of like sunshine and rainbows all the way through world building wise. We don't have these realistic changes. One of the biggest complaints we get from readers is that we skip over a lot of the commonplace things. We don't talk about them brushing their teeth. We don't talk about them making their breakfast or taking the dog out for a potty break. We don't talk about the things that we do every day, like doing homework or going to work or whatever it is. And if it doesn't fit specifically into the scene of a story, we just don't add it. So we miss a lot of their real life. And it's just kind of this glossed over pretty version of life where we know we have to brush our teeth every day. We have to comb our hair every day. If we're not putting on deodorant every day, we're probably going to smell. If we're not showering because we're in some dystopian world, right? We don't talk about those things. And so to be able to kind of write in just the randomness of the weather really adds a lot of impact to your story. Because again, if it's sunny and it's hot out, that changes how I am walking down the street talking to my boyfriend, right? I am not going to be super focused on that conversation because I'm really focused on if I'm sweaty, do I look okay? My hair is super uncomfortable and I just want it out of my face, but I don't look cute if I tie it back. And I'm really in my head about these things, and your characters will be too. So paying attention to the way that the world works outside of your window is very valuable. And it doesn't fit for all books, of course. If I'm writing a novel and it's under the sea, my real life windowscape is not going to help me, right? But there are other ways that you can kind of do that via live streams and via videos. But if you're writing in the real world and you can, write it in. Write it in. Focus on your dialogue. I focus on my dialogue. And then just plug in what's going on in real time as you're world building in between. And then see how it impacts your story. Follow along for more ideas on how you can level up your writing and take a lot of that stress and work out of your writing while making it better writing. Here on the channel, I drop videos every single day. I'm a multi-time best-selling author of many, many years, and I'm here to help you through your writing, your publishing, and your marketing so you can live your best author life while also still having a life. We'll see you then.